City Council meeting of February 4th has come to order. Anthony, would you please lead us in Pledge of Allegiance?
The United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we please remain standing? A moment of silence for the first responders and the military members. Thank you. Please be seated. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista.
Present.
Councilmember Aguilar.
Present.
Councilmember King.
Present.
Mayor Samra.
Present.
For the record, Mayor Pro Tem Garcia is not in attendance, but his absence is excused.
Thank you. Council, any change to the agenda? Staff?
I wanted to see about the potential action item for tonight.
I'm
Change
sorry?
to agenda. Under changes to the agenda,
Which one?
number 5. No, sorry, number 4.
You want to change it to the, I'm sorry?
If we could push that out to another meeting for discussion,
The appointment?
the appointment, the reappointment. Because I just feel like there was just a little bit of confusion as to what the next step. I know there were a few
Okay.
options.
Sure. We'll table that to our February 18th. Will that be sufficient for you?
That's fine.
Okay, we'll
Thank
table
you.
that to the February 18th. Any other changes, council, staff? No, seeing none, we'll move forward to announcements and reports. Supervisor Espinoza.
Good evening, Council, public. I don't have much today, but just want to say that we did a Campus Parkway ribbon cutting and groundbreaking last Friday on the Campus Parkway, way north. Ribbon cutting on Phase 2 and groundbreaking on Phase 3. So that'll be finished by, Phase 3 will be finished by 2023. And so I think I said I was appointed chairman of the board last meeting as well. And also I would be appointed next week to the Board of Trustees for the Law Library as part of the chairman of the board
Okay.
assignment. So we've gone to a new voting system on a push-button voting system for when we vote on the board. And with the screens, everybody will be able to see, how we vote. I was reappointed to the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority by the MCAG board at the last meeting as well. So I'm just glad that I will be able to stay there and push for hopefully a stop in Livingston with the ACE train in the future. So hopefully make it happen, and we get whatever we can do to get businesses support so we can get that stop right there. That's always appreciated, and hopefully we get also Darren McDaniel on board as well, and as other like this.
If it doesn't work too well, we may have to have you lay across the track until they stop, okay?
Well, sure. Yeah. You're from me, right? And
Whatever it takes, we'll make it happen.
That's it for me. If in case you guys have any questions, or the public.
Public, any questions for Supervisor Espinoza?
Preguntas en español. ¿Les puedo ayudar?
Supervisor, go ahead, sir. Okay, can you please come forward so we have you on record?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so we can get your question recorded.
So my question, Rodrigo, is when are we supposed to break ground for the ACE train station here?
You know what? Let me just have our ACE expert answer that question. Yeah, he's our ACE expert here. So.
Well, thank you very much for the question. So there's a number of things. I'm going to give you some backstory on this. So the decision-making process is still ongoing. However, the city of Livingston is doing a number of things in partnership with our supervisor. For instance, we went out and we commissioned a commuter study through UOP. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to make the case of why we here in Livingston deserve to have that stoppage. And so we're taking a comprehensive approach to this matter. So for instance, we're tying everything together, like we're looking at a transit-oriented development, which is on, all that means is that there's 35 acres along B Street and in between Prusso and Winton Parkway that we're looking at, and we're trying to show that that project is going to have a direct impact and that we're doing things in order to mitigate greenhouse gases. In addition, we have pledged 640,000 plus another $1 million for a transit center in that neck of the woods that'll tie in with the ACE trains, hopefully. And then with the beautification elements that we're doing in our downtown, and we're doing some other things that we prefer not to share because we are in direct competition with our neighbor. But and so in terms of when they might decide, I anticipate it's probably going to be a couple years down the road because right now they're still doing all of the environmental phases to that.
Makes sense. Thank you, appreciate it.
Any other questions for Supervisor Espinoza, public?
And if I may add just one more thing.
Of course, please.
Of course, me being there and I'm from Livingston, so I'm going to do whatever I can to, pull, some arms or whatever I can do.
We expected nothing less, and then your fallback late on the tracks. We appreciate that.
All right.
I'm not sure, but at the last meeting, did you mention that you were the chairman of the supervisors at this time?
Correct.
You did mention that already? I don't remember. Yeah, okay.
I thought I did. I don't know.
I think
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Yeah, and also too, of course, I'm reaching out to businesses because, of course, we have good sweet potato businesses, Foster Farms and Gallo Wine. So they hopefully those they would have a lot of pull too with the state and getting us this ACE train stop right here in Livingston. So that way we can show our products that we have around this community too on the stop. So okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Recreation? Finance? Fire? We got two people getting up. Must be tag team here.
Good evening, City Council, members of the board. Brian White, Battalion Chief for Delhi Battalion in Livingston City. So we have here is a presentation kind of wrapping up 2019 and things that are going to happen throughout the city with the fire department.
Hey, just
There we go. All right, so our annual emergency activity report. This is going to be a rundown of what the city saw in 2019 when it comes to the different types of calls that we're responding to. As you can see, our number one is our medical aids. This is typically what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. This is a majority of the responses that we take, that we respond to throughout the city. We did have a couple of vegetation fires, 32 within the city. Vehicle accidents, 63. Structure fires, vehicle fires was 8. Structure fires were 8. Debris fires were 9. We did have 21 alarm soundings, 1 false alarm, and then a couple of firefighter standbys. And of course, we also assist with public assist and 30, and then 1 hazardous materials release.
what is that sound?
For a summary for total incidents in 2019, Livingston City is leading the county with 1,815 calls. It's very active. We're up. The city is within this The incidents within the city were about 1,100. That's up 8% from last year. Incidents in the county, about 702, which is up just a percent, which is pretty typical. And then our PCF, our paid call firefighter response to incidents is 67%. So we're seeing about a 67% response from our subsidized firefighting force from the volunteers. When we look at incidents within Livingston initial area, a majority is at 82%, and then call volume from last year in total was 5.2. When we break down our incidents, you can see that a majority of our calls are going to be medical aids, and then followed by vehicle accidents, just with the area that we're involved with the 99 corridor. That's typically brings a lot of the vehicle accidents that our resources respond to. Is that because I'm too close? You hear that feedback?
No, I think it's something else.
There's some bug in the system.
Okay.
A bug in the system, okay. Must be a technical term. Must be a technical term.
That's right. 61% of the calls that we respond to are within the city limits, and then the 39% is responding to the calls outside the city limits in response to the county. If we look at our, kind of see what we've seen over the last couple decades, in 1999, we've really seen an increase where we're doubling, if not 100% increase between what we were running in 1999 and 2019. We're actually seeing a 104% increase. As the city's expanding, we're at 1,800. Since I wasn't, I'm new to the county, and not only the county but the city. My captain, Brian Alvis, is going to talk about some of the things that they're doing in the city over the last 2019.
All right, here's just a couple slides to show that what we did. Some of this was already presented, but here we are at Livingston schools. And then also we did the reading week at Yamato school. We participated in the 9/11 ceremony. Myself, I was at campus, and some volunteers went to Yamato. Participated every home football game. We did standby for our EMTs so that we provided the medical services that they needed it for at the game in order to play. We did our annual Santa visit at schools, which we've been doing for many years, and we plan on doing that again. And this one is a big help with our volunteers. He loves being Santa and coming out and helping out. So, and the kids love the free candy canes. Safety fair at Foster Farms. The festival we participated in, and the Splash of Color run with the mayor right there, if anyone's looking who's there in the middle. The Kite Festival. Our MDA, we were able to raise over $4,000 last year, so that was a significant contribution in order to the county total. And the Relay for Life. And then this one was a particular close one to a lot of the volunteers with the years of service that John had. So the plaque dedication with his family and everybody that came out, it was a great turnout. And dedicated the new Type 6 engine. And of course the Livingston Public Safety Town Hall meeting.
So we can see that there's a lot of activity with the fire department involved with a lot of the community relationships. That's something that we want to continue to build, that outreach and being involved with some of the active recruitment in the community. Some of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years, if not up and down the state, is that we're not getting the same outreach and recruitment of volunteers. So making sure that we're out there in the public, letting know there's an opportunity for people who are involved. With fire safety, we also have a couple different levels of response. I don't know if people are familiar with it, but we've changed our response levels. We have people, if they're just interested in being emergency responders, they can be emergency responders and just assist with medical aids. And then we have a classification of a firefighter, someone who can respond to fires, and then also a driver operator. So we're always actively recruiting. If people in the community feel like they'd like to help out and they're interested, stopping by the fire station and picking up the application, we highly encourage our folks out there who are willing and able to help participate and provide for the community. Staffing is always going to be one of the things that we're looking and pursuing. Currently, we're at 1 staffing. There's 1 paid personnel on duty daily, and as you can see through some of the stuff we talked about, our increase in call volume has continued, and we haven't seen an increase in staffing since the fire department was initiated here in Livingston. Equipment and facilities. So we talked about community relationships, maintain that open communication with the city council, attend the community events such as Sweet Potato Festival, Livingston Kite Festival, the 4th of July Festival, and then continue public outreach programs such as the Public Safety Fair, MDA, and the Neighborhood Santa Claus of the Fire. I know that there's also some other stuff when it comes to public safety that Juan Aguilar has looked into. We'll go out and actually participate and do some active recruitment and education. So when we talk about current station staffing, the current staffing level in Livingston, of course, is 1-0. The number of paid firefighters in Livingston is the same now as it was when the city entered in the current agreement with Merced County in 1990 for the paid firefighters. The population in 1990 was approximately 7,000, which is doubled by 2016. Livingston Fire Department is anticipating 1,900 calls in 2020. And then Station 96 is the busiest in Merced County. We're seeing about 1,815 calls in 2019. And the second up would be Winton Fire Station, and there are about 1,572 calls. 2-0 staffing will continue to be a goal of Merced County Fire Department along with CAL FIRE. It's one of the things that we'll be constantly looking at. When we talk about the equipment, the typical lifespan of a fire engine is between 20 and 25 years, depending on the use and needs. We look at the current Livingston equipment is in good condition, but it's starting to reach that lifespan. We're starting to see stuff that ties out and times out. Some of the solution I know, from what I've understand, is that the city is actively looking at some sort of replacement plan, and those things have been identified and are we working forward to that. The facility, one of the things that I've acquired here in the city, as well as in the county, is identifying our facilities throughout the county. And a lot of those stations that were built were in the 1940s, 1950s, and it makes it very difficult to expand when it comes to adding more personnel and adding more equipment. The equipment is only getting bigger when it comes to the type of engines that are responding to calls and that are being provided to the fire stations in the cities, and it's making it difficult to accommodate those larger pieces of equipment without larger retrofitting to fire stations. And when you start looking at the cost analysis of trying to do those infrastructure capital improvements, sometimes it can be very difficult. The current facility is in need of some major repairs, and we'll continue to look forward to working with the city council and city managers and finding a site and identifying what maybe is going to be in the next future for expanding the fire department and kind of facilitating that. Livingston school inspections are going to be active now. You guys are going to be. Yeah, the fire department, along with the fire marshal, will be going into the high schools, the middle schools, and elementary schools, and making sure that they're prepared to deal with a fire if we have one. So one of the save the dates of the Livingston annual Pancake Breakfast will be coming up May 2nd. Another fundraiser where the fire department is out there and providing for the community, another outreach. So the weather is getting colder. We've seen a snap freeze in the last couple of days. Everyone can tell that it's been getting a lot colder. I'm glad that the wind died down. But some of the space heater safety tips, you guys need to properly use those things. Please don't plug them into extension cords or into circuit breakers. Or into your daisy chained extension cords. They need to be plugged directly into the wall. Make sure that you're leaving some space and you're aware of the things that are around it, and make sure that the space heater has an automatic shut off. Most of the things that we buy now, if it gets knocked over, it'll automatically turn off. But if you have some of those older space heaters, you need to be very aware that some of them don't have the same safety precautions as the ones you may buy now. And that's the end of the fire department report.
Council, any questions for fire department? No, public, any questions? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Public Works, Anthony? Oh, I missed engineering. You just walked in? Oh, no wonder.
Good evening, Your Honorable Mayor, council members, members of the public. Anthony Chavarria, Public Works. I'm here this evening to present our Public Works monthly report. First department up is our streets and building department. Guys continue with pothole repairs, vegetation abatement, sidewalk demo at the Measure V projects, tree removal, signage replacement, and building maintenance. Again, I'd like to just let the community know and the residents, if you guys see potholes out there, feel free to call it into Public Works and we'll get it scheduled to be filled. One of the Measure V projects is our HAMMETT striping project, which recently was completed. Really brightened that area up. Again, it's a Measure V funded project. Our fleet department. The guys continue with the maintenance on all city vehicles. I did want to acknowledge a new employee in fleet, Mr. Ivan Valenzuela. Ivan was a heavy equipment mechanic in the Marine Corps, holds mechanic certification and operates heavy equipment, and he's coming from the landscape and maintenance districts. The chief's not here, but I just wanted to point out, if you see him in a police car, chief, don't tase him. He's keeping them running. I'll let Tommy take over the operations department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before I go on this, I just got to give kudos to the city ringer on that color run photo, Jose. He put a good whipping on pretty much everybody there. So this is the operations department, and just to go over briefly the day-to-day operations of the water treatment plants. What we do is we go and inspect everything, make sure everything's running fine. Chlorine, everything's pumping, no leaks. Just a real thorough inspection. Daily tests on the water to ensure good quality going out to the residents. The day-to-day operations of the wastewater treatment plant is, sludge judging, making sure the process control, everything's there. We're basically just treating the wastewater to the plant, and we have to, meet standards through the state and send good quality of water into the effluent ponds. Here in the future, I'll prepare more slides and be able to give a better, display of that. Monthly and quarterly and annual reports to the California Water Board. So along with water and wastewater, there are requirements that the state puts for us, that we have to meet. So as operators, that's our goal, is to, follow the guidelines that the state has for us. And we've been very good in doing so now. So it's a lot of responsibility. Each person that has a license here is part of the responsibility to make sure that we're meeting those requirements. The meter reading and meter installs. So we have a short section which has dwindled down over the years, but it's some of them we have to manually read, but our goal is to be full radio read here shortly. So updating meters, and we just acquired some new equipment to be able to verify meters within the city to make sure we're testing them throughout the city to make sure everything is working as it's supposed to. We have the sewer line cleaning. It's very important. A lot of people don't see it, but when your sinks are running, your showers are running, and you flush your toilets, the water goes somewhere. So we got to make sure those lines are free flowing and we don't have any backups. And so far, knock on wood, it's been over a year. We haven't had any SSOs or anything, so we've been doing pretty good on that. The quarterly dead-end water line flushing, because we don't have a loop system and everywhere, sometimes sediment builds in dead ends, and so we try to maintain that by flushing that out so we don't send color and stuff to the residents here in town. Pump station maintenance. Sewer lift stations is the same thing. We got to make sure the pumps are going. And also with our storm station, like I say, with Anthony's help, we've put some new pumps in, got some new things going, so the flooding during storm has decreased tremendously. And this stuff we're continuing to improve and look at resolutions and things we could improve on. The pulling of weekly and monthly samples from the treatment plants and distribution system. once again, the state has requirements that we need to test for, and we have to meet those, so we pull our samples. A lot of stuff we send to the lab, but there's a lot we do in-house also. And then responding to customer issues, which I know the staff takes a lot of pride in. You know, our response time is very good, and we just try to keep those to a minimum and try to, you know, do the best we can for the residents here. This here is a picture of a couple of the guys from the operations crew, the installation of a well 8 meter replacement. So we had a older meter, wasn't up to par, but in those situations, it's a loss of revenue for the city. So we were able to remove that, replace it with a new meter. We wired it in and got it up and running, so we're able to monitor what we're sending to Foster Farm. So a lot of crucial piece of equipment, and
The guys were able to do that in-house with no contractors, so you're able to save some money on that. Thank you, Tommy. So here's this next slide, lateral camera. The Public Works recently purchased a lateral inspection camera. The camera can be inserted into a clean-out that's not backed up with water. It has to be clear with no backups. The camera is able to identify grease buildup, collapsed pipe, root intrusion, or separation of pipe, which is offsets. Residents are able to call Public Works to schedule an inspection once the line is clear and flowing. Residents are responsible for the sewer lateral from the home to the main, but at the same time, Public Works would like to assist our residents with troubleshooting issues they may have. Just to kind of go over, just to clarify, this is the home sewer lateral. So residents are responsible from their home to the connection to our sewer main. And this is the city main. City manhole, another portion of the main. So every time you flush a toilet, take a shower, wash dishes, all that water is collected and transported through the home sewer lateral. Now, 90% of the time, we get calls for blockages. 90% of the time, it's due to trees, roots, grease. So you gotta be really careful on where you're planting your trees. We see them either too close to the sewer lateral or right over the sewer lateral. You plant a tree, the first few years, no problem, but that tree does grow, the roots do grow. If you have any separation or cracked pipe, those roots are gonna find their way into it. Here's a picture of some root intrusion. So this is the lateral in the home. Yeah. So toilet paper is not going to make it past that. It's going to cause a backup. Here, it's not too bad. This looks to be more inside of a sewer main, a larger pipe. But eventually, it's going to get there. Here's another lateral. It's full. It's full of roots. And we see this a lot. This happens a lot. If it's not roots, it's grease that builds up in this area of the pipe. Pouring grease down the drain, it's a big no-no. You're cooking bacon, we want to throw it in the garbage, not down the drain. You can see what happens. This is from inside of a sewer line. So you can see there's a small section where your water and toilet paper is making it through. You're going to experience a backup there. Same here, it's full. There's a little section to where your flow is actually going through. And go back a little bit. Can you go back 2 slides? Not working. So again, when you're dumping grease, if you do dump grease, it's going to go through your sink, no problem. But by the time it makes it out here, it cools down and it hardens and it coats the inside of your sewer lateral, and that's where you're going to see buildup and backups. Roots and grease will lead to backups. This is what we want to prevent. Parks and LMD. The guys are conducting day-to-day cleaning of all parks and landscape districts, trimming trees, soccer field maintenance, gopher and squirrel control, herbicide applications, and irrigation repair. We got a new parks lead landscape worker, Dustin Cunningham. He's not new to the city, but he is newer to the landscape and parks area. So Chief, if you do see him in your police cars, you can tase Dustin because he doesn't belong in there anymore. Our janitorial department, these ever so energetic ladies conduct all the housekeeping for all city-owned buildings, and they always have a smile on their face and sure do light up every room they enter. That's Celine and Adriana. Musical chairs, this is just for fun here. We had a recent luncheon during Christmas time, and our mayor was there. He participated in the musical chairs game as well. I just wanted to show you how competitive Public Works is. So the last two employees were Public Works. So they're pretty competitive at musical chairs. That's the end of my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions for Public Works? Public, any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Engineering kind of stuck in on me. I thought I missed them, but yeah, any reports? Okay. Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Council, and public. There's a couple of things that I would like to share this evening. One, we ordered a street sweeper, and unfortunately, the street sweeper we've been waiting for a while because they want all the parts to be American made, and so we haven't been able to get the actual waiver, and so that's the first problem. The second problem is that it's a CNG unit, and I believe, is it a third tier or fourth tier? It's a fourth tier. All that means is that, they're not as contaminated, they don't contaminate as much. And so the closest CNG facility is in Turlock or Merced. And so, so that's creating a problem for us. So what I did is I reached out to PG&E, and I basically said to PG&E, I know we don't have a CNG facility here in Livingston. One, we would like to know how much it's going to cost, and two, what's the timeline for something like this? So they're going to get back to me on that. And in the meantime, we've been looking at possibly going with a diesel, a street sweeper that can meet the same definition, but we're looking into that, and we're looking at the cost. So stay tuned to that. And then the next thing is that I wanted to share is that we've been working with ARCO. As you know, they're hopefully breaking ground soon, but they have a sit-down restaurant area, and they also have another 2,500 square feet area. And so I reached out to some of the franchisees that own the Farmer's Boys and the Pollo Locos in the Modesto area and Turlock area, and I sat down with them. There seems to be some interest. They're primarily, what they really would like is to buy, not lease property, but actually buy a piece of property to have to continue to pursue that, and we're looking at other leads at this point. I also met today with the board of directors for Emerald Textile Services, had a meeting for the first time here in Livingston. I had an opportunity to go speak with them and let them know that we're their partners and would like them to continue to succeed, and would like to see them continue to expand and create more jobs after the 250 jobs that they have already filled. So That's all I have for you, council. Thank you very much, unless you have any questions.
Council, any questions for Mr. Ramirez? Public? Seeing nobody come forward, council, anything to report? Councilwoman Baptista?
I just wanted, I just wanted to share that later in this month, I have scheduled to have just a community communications type of sessions at the chambers. That'll be happening later on this month. I've also invited Councilmember Aguilar to sit with me, and if any other council person would like to come, it'll be open to the public on Saturday, February 22nd from 9 to 11. We'll also schedule one further out and give you the dates for those as well. It's just an opportunity for the public to come forward and discuss items that you have concerns or questions.
Thank you. Would you like us to send out a mailer?
Could be possible.
Okay, Mr. Ramirez, please. Anything else we can help to promote it for you?
It would just be on behalf of, well,
No, I know, but.
I mean, I initiated, but whoever is welcome as.
No, but we want to make sure that that's how
Oh,
we can help, you know.
Yeah, Facebook.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that only two of you can meet, not with more than two, because otherwise it's a meeting, so. no more than two
Unless
councilmen.
you schedule it, of course.
Yeah, because it'll be discussing city issues, so that's
Yeah.
why. Okay.
So, yeah, we'll figure something out, so, okay? Mr. Aguilar?
Yeah, just to echo what Maria was saying was, hopefully we get a good attendance during those meetings. We just want to hear what the community is concerned about, ideas they have, or anything that they want to communicate with us. Another thing too is, I know that we have some vacancies with the Rec Commission, right, Jackie? Have we gotten any applications too? So I know the deadline has been extended, and I encourage everybody or anybody that's interested in participating, being part of the Rec Commission, the Rec and Arts Commission. It's a great opportunity to be involved in the community and be part of the decision making. A lot of good things have come out of that commission. That's it.
Anything else, Mr. Aguilar? Mr. King?
I got nothing to report.
Okay, for me, I just want to congratulate Emma for making employee of the quarter. I know she's not here, but you want to let that know, people know about Emma?
Yes, so what we have in at City Hall is that we every month, people nominate different employees on outstanding work that they do. In this particular case, Emma was selected, and so she's the employee of the quarter. And so we want to extend a thank you to her.
Yeah, congratulations, Emma. I know you're not here, but congratulations. Okay, for me, that's all I have. And then moving on to item number 1, this is a public hearing, 16 CDBG-11142, close out in public hearing. Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, Mr. Council, Mayor and Council, this is a routine item, but we do have Mr. Paul Ashby, who's been helping us for many years, and this is money that we always like to submit for, and we actually been very successful, and so we have actually 2 items on the agenda related to CDBG, but I'll let
Mr. Ashby do the first one.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Honorable Mayor, members of the council, Paul Ashby, Adams Ashby Group. Like Mr. Ramirez said, we've been working with the city for the past 5-6 years on CDBG, which is the Community Development Block Grant. Tonight we're holding a public hearing just to review the last grant that you received and get direction from council to move forward with the closeout of this grant. This was awarded in 2016. CDBG contracts are good for 36 months, so this contract expired December 31st, 2019. So now we are preparing the final closeout package and your funds requests to draw the money down. You were awarded $1.7 million for this grant. The bulk of it was for water line replacements and rehabilitation that has now been completed. You would have seen that notice of completion come in the fall of 2019. The remaining dollars, a small portion of it was for code enforcement, which paid for a code enforcement officer and a few of your low-income block groups that CDBG defines. And then a small portion, just under $50,000, was for a planning study to do a capital improvement plan, CIP, in those same low-income areas. And the idea is that we have infrastructure projects outlined by your city engineer that we can pursue in the future. Again, all those monies were grants, 1.7 million. The only dollars that required match were for the planning study, and so that came out to $2,300. It's a 5% cash match just for those dollars that's used. So upon council direction, we would submit final closeout package to the state, pretty routine matter. That's due within 60 days, so by the end of February, those documents are ready. Your city manager has signed those, and then we would move forward with closing that out. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ashby. Council, any questions before I open it to the public? Okay, this is a public hearing. It is now open to the public. If anybody has any questions, comments, suggestions, please come forward. Seeing nobody coming forward, it is now closed to the public. Council, any further comment? If not, we just need to do a direction, right? So it's not a motion. So council, do we have an agreement to, go ahead.
Yeah, just direct staff to submit final reports and closeout package to the state.
I have a motion by Councilman Aguilar. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Kang. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilmember Baptista,
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar,
Yes.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. We're done. Okay, citizens' comment. This section of the agenda allows the public or the members of the public to address the city council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Members of the public, when recognized, the mayor should come forward to the lectern and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with open meeting laws. No action will be taken by the city council this evening. For items which are on the agenda this evening, members of the public will provide an opportunity to address the city council as each item is brought up for discussion. So go ahead, please, sir, Mr. Ray.
Yeah, I'm Rick Soria, 1526 Main Street. Basically, this is just an announcement. Our professional soccer team here in Livingston, we are ready to start play this coming year, March 14th, against Real San Jose. So we got accepted. The only issue that I have, I still need to get advertisers here from Livingston. We'll be using the Livingston complex as our home field. Basically, it's a 15-team in the league, the United Premier Soccer League, which is right under the MLSL. We do have about 4 players that might end up getting contracts. They're being looked at from the Major League Soccer League. I'm just trying to get more support from businesses here in Livingston to keep the team running. This is the only professional soccer team here in Merced County. There's no other ones except for Stanislaus County. And for next year, we'll also be starting with the United Premier League Youth League, which is under 14, under 12, under 10, and under 8 teams. For the kids here in Livingston, that will be free. It'll be Cachorros, or Livingston Cachorros Soccer Academy for next year. For the kids here in Livingston, it will be for free. And also, would like to acknowledge our head coach, which will be Enrique Medina Sr. He will be the head coach for the Livingston Cachorros Soccer team. I also encourage any more players that are interested in playing professional. This is a semi-pro pro league. And also, if there's any other people that are willing to step up and volunteer and help out as staff, helping in painting the soccer field, cleaning up the field, and so forth, just get a hold of me. We have the website up, Livingston Cachorro Soccer Club website. You can also get all information from there. And we'll be going around Livingston, and hopefully the people here from Livingston, or citizens here from Livingston, will come and watch our games here at the Livingston Complex. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Citizen comment?
Good evening, City Council. Jose Moran, 945 Parkview Drive, Livingston, California. First of all, I just wanted to thank Mr. Jose Ramirez, City Manager, for doing all the great work that you guys been doing with the support of the council for the city and for its residents. While visiting other towns, other cities, I hear good things. They hear what we are doing, and they're very excited and they're happy for us. So it all reflects back on the council and the work that the city manager is doing. Good job, thank you. And just a couple of updates, or actually I wanted to kind of get some updates also for the citizens too. I've been getting asked what's going on or where are we in regards to the dog park. I mean, I know that it was something that we discussed, and just to let the citizens know where we're at. And also another thing was just to find out where we are in regards to the flavor and tobacco vaping products ban or ordinance for the city. How we, I know that has been in the back burner for about over a year, like a year and a half or so. We're approaching 2 years now. I hope we're not waiting until the elections are passed to kind of take that back on for discussion. And then also just to announce that the Sober Grad is selling carne asada dinner for this Friday, the 7th, and I have some tickets and they're only $10, but for you guys, tonight only $9.99. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Been a long time since I've been up here. My name's Damian Ramirez. Live close to the sports complex. So my question is, I've been on the website, to our city's website, and I see there's a master plan for the sports complex. I was wondering if there's going to be any breaking ground, or if it's still going to take place anytime soon. Anybody?
Thank you very much for your question. So it's ongoing, so we're always looking for funding. As a matter of fact, we've actually applied to several funding sources over the years, and we're actually looking at putting in an additional soccer field out in that neck of the woods. And so we've been looking at in-house, being able to do it in-house versus having to, contract it out because of the cost associated with it. So we're continuing to save some more money, because that's our goal, is to actually be able to put another soccer field out there. And we actually have a meeting this coming Thursday with a representative from the state parks, because we want to know what other grant opportunities are out there so that we can apply and get funding to continue to, beautify and extend and provide further recreational opportunities for our people.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public citizens comment? Seeing nobody coming forward, it is now closed. Moving on to consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar considered routine and non-controversial will be enacted by one vote unless it's separate action request to a city manager or city council member. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the members of the city council or city manager request a specific item be removed. Item number 2, this is the approval of the warrant register dated January 30th, 2020. Number 3, resolution approving the application for funding and execution of the grant agreement and any amendments thereto for the 2019-2020 funding year for the state CDBG program. Council, entertain a motion at this time.
Make motion to accept the.
I have a motion by Councilman Aguilar. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Kang. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista?
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember King?
Yes.
Mayor Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Item number 4 has been tabled to the February 18th meeting. And number 5, this is a discussion and possible direction regarding the Downtown Street Fair 2020. Ms. Benoit?
Good evening, everyone. So at your request from, let's see, when was it? Our December 17th meeting, I was asked to take an item to our Recreation Commission to discuss the length of our street fair. And so I actually have a couple of members of the commission here tonight in case you have any questions. But our recommendation is to accept the Recreation Commission's recommendation and host a fall 4-week street fair. So the street fair has been running in some capacity since 2006, and it went from 1 month to 2 months to 6 months. And so for the past 3 years, the street fair has developed into a certified farmer's market, and the management was paid for by a grant from the USDA managed by Merced County Health Department. The grant ended September 29th. In light of financial constraints, the department has been asked to reduce expenses by 10%, and programming that will be affected by cuts is the street fair. So this item was presented, which I said December 17th, and we did take it back to the Recreation Commission for input. And at the January 23rd, 2020 commission, the commission voted 6-0 to make the event just 4 weeks and hold it in the month of October. Holding it for just 4 weeks will allow the program to almost break even and attract more vendors and entertainment for this short period of time. There was also input from the high school students, our LTAC group, and staff. Due to fundraising limitations at the high school, they were pretty excited that a lot of the clubs will probably get involved in the street fair. So.
Thank you. I see we have a member of the reclamation. Does anybody wish to comment on this item? Or just here for support? Yeah, I just thought of if somebody wanted to make a comment, you know. Okay, thank you. This item is now open to the public. Does anybody from the public at large wish to comment on this item?
Well, I know that the city has been, a little bit, the reserves are a lot less now, but I think that, when I was mayor, I was glad to take it from 4 weeks to 6 months, and I know that, like I said, if you can't pay for it, you can't pay for it, but I know that the community loves the street fair, and I agree with if you guys want to reduce it, but I think I would recommend at least, 3 months. I know that Irene and Luis de la Cruz did it 1 year, and it was very, very supportive, and even 2 blocks, they had 2 blocks of vendors out there. It hasn't been very successful in the last few years, and I think that going with Irene and Luis de la Cruz, we have to pay a little bit, but I think that the community will be upset if we bring it down to a month. I think three months would be a lot more successful, and hopefully it'll bring back, like I said, some of the vendors. And but I think changing it to having those other managers managing the market will do a lot better. So that's my recommendation, and it's up to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Let's see. Oh.
Good evening, Council. Julio Mian, one of the commissioners for the Rec Commission. I understand some people like it for the street fair to prolong it more than a month. Unfortunately, with the cuts that we are making, obviously a lot of us have seen it out there, it doesn't take up 2 blocks. You guys cut it to 2 blocks. It's more like a block. It's the same vendors. It's the same people. It's not feasible to cut more money from the kids in the recreational program to keep the street fair running. We believe that 4 weeks makes it better. With 6 months, you keep hearing people, well, there's always next week. I can always go next week. I think if you cut it down to 4 weeks, they know it's going to run out. They'll be more eager to attend. Also, with what Jackie said is, it's getting harder for the students at the high school to raise funds using food because of all the new guidelines that they're putting. So one of the recommendations that we had made was to eliminate the fee for them, get them to come out here, get them to do some kind of fundraiser, get more people out here, get more families back involved. We think that would be a great way to boost revenue for the vendors and for the school to continue. Unfortunately, if it goes past 4 weeks, it's going to cost the department a little bit more money. If they wish to go to 6 weeks, then we have to find funding elsewhere. And that would have to be maybe the council or the superintendent could provide that funding for us, because we're a little tight and we're trying to eliminate from raising the fees for different sports, because I know it's already tight. We got certain families that have 3 or 4 children. It's a little hard to pay $300-400 for one season of sports. So it's either street fair longer or increase fees for children to attend sporting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? It is now closed to public. Council discussion?
In regards to my comment or opinion, I'm supportive of the decision the Rec Commission has made. Julio, you've made a great point and great discussion regarding the decision made by the Rec Commission. I know there's been some cutbacks in our departments, including the Recreation Department. So it does cost money to run the months at a time. I think 4 weeks is feasible and affordable, especially in our current financial situation. I think, yeah, people do like it, but we've seen it firsthand out there. It's just very limited vendors, a very limited amount of people. I think if we constrain it to 4 weeks, there'll be more interest, more people willing to come out, better opportunities to have entertainment in those 4 weeks where people will be actually interested to come out and spend some time with their families. And then that gives an opportunity to continue to assess moving forward what we want to do with it. We want to expand it, lengthwise or the size of it. So yes, it gives an opportunity at least for 1 year to assess and see what we could do with the fair. I know at one point it was very successful. In regards to Supervisor Espinosa hiring somebody at this current status, I don't think it'll be wise for the city to hire anybody to run the street fair. So I would say the best we could do is 4 weeks for now, and then continue assessing.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to make a comment? Mr. Kang?
Again, I appreciate the Rec Commission reaching out to our local schools and seeing how you can collaborate. It's being very creative and assisting with their efforts to fundraise, and also trying to bring out families with our participation with the downtown street fair as well. So great ideas.
Mr. Kang, any comment? Okay, then at this time, does anybody wish to make a motion or propose anything the alternative?
Looking for it.
So I'll make the motion to go with the recommendation provided by the Rec Commission of making the farmers market to 4 weeks for the next year and continue assessing for future.
I have a motion by Councilman Aguilar. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Baptista. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilmember Baptista,
Yes.
Councilmember Aguilar,
Yes.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Mayor Samra.
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Okay. Council, any further business? If not, we're in adjournment. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.